This nearly blind lady attempts to escape from her murderous ex in the woods. Despite her very poor eyesight without her glasses on, she manages to call a random number. A gas station clerk picks up the random call and she helps her. She became her eyes through the woods using a video call. With the murderous ex on her tail, she needs to run with the help of this random girl. Hello, welcome back to I Am Movies. Today we're looking into the 2023 American horror thriller film called Unseen. With that said, let's begin. The movie begins in Michigan, where an almost blind doctor named Emily Casahera gains consciousness in a cabin after hearing her phone ring. Emily had been drugged and abducted by her ex-boyfriend Charlie. Emily and Charlie used to be in a relationship, but Emily dumped Charlie after realizing that Charlie had been stalking her, coupled with his other erratic behaviors. Now, Charlie finds it hard to accept the breakup, prompting him to abduct Emily and tie her up in an isolated cabin in the woods. As Emily finds herself tied up without her glasses, she hears a voice telling her that dinner is almost ready, but she doesn't know whose voice it is. However, Emily soon begins to realize the severity of her situation, knowing fully well that she has been abducted. With no knowledge of her location plus her poor eyesight, Emily frantically begs to know where she is and how she got there. With no answer, Emily begins to panic, begging to have her glasses and phone. Meanwhile, in Florida, a depressed lady named Sam, who works as a clerk at a gas station, sits in her car, just outside her workplace. With the look on her face, Sam doesn't seem happy with her job. Subsequently, Sam dials a number on her phone, but she receives no answer. After waiting for a while, she decides to have a smoke and subsequently walks into the gas station to begin her shift. On getting inside, Sam's boss Isaac begins to accuse her of breaking a freezy machine. To avoid arguing with him, Sam offers to repair it herself. However, Isaac continues to berate Sam, calling her a gloomy mug before walking out of the store. Back in the cabin, Emily finally gets her glasses and stares in shock, realizing that her abductor is none other than her ex, Charlie. Afterward, Charlie plays an old video of them together, forcing Emily to watch with him. Charlie accuses her of dumping him days after his father took him off the board of his company, insisting that she left him at his most vulnerable moment. After a while, Charlie forces Emily to taste his bolognese sauce in an effort to recreate their past memory. However, Emily spits it on his face and Charlie hits her, which sends her glasses off her face. Emily tries to fight back, but Charlie pins her down and puts a knife on her throat. Charlie threatens to cut her open like an animal, after having all the fun he wants with her. Suddenly, Charlie grabs Emily's throat tight in a chokehold, demanding that she sing for him. After a while, he lets go and Emily apologizes to him, promising to grant his request just to be on his good side. Seeing that he's becoming calm, Emily begs him to let her have her glasses on, stating that she'd love to look him in the eyes. Feeling wanted again, Charlie drops his knife and gets Emily's glasses for her. However, as soon as Emily gets her glasses, she attacks him with a self-defense object that emits bright light and loud sound. Subsequently, they both begin to fight, and Emily manages to kick Charlie away from her, causing him to hit his head on a table. Charlie briefly loses consciousness, and Emily quickly uses his knife to untie her leg and then grabs her phone to leave. However, Charlie attacks Emily once again, but she manages to render him unconscious after smashing a flower vase on his head. Unfortunately, as Emily attempts to leave, she mistakenly steps on her glasses, rendering them useless. With this, Emily proceeds to escape the cabin even with her poor eyesight. As soon as she steps out of the cabin, she struggles to find her way through the forest. Back in Florida, a blonde lady walks into a gas station and begins to speak rudely to Sam, stating that the gas grades are not clear enough. Sam tries to calm her down, but the blonde lady demands a refund, threatening to have the place shut down. Sam promises to give her a refund and immediately initiates the refund, informing the lady that it will take 3 business days for the reversal to appear, and the lady walks out, leaving her credit card behind. Meanwhile, in the cabin, Charlie finally gains consciousness while Emily continues to run helplessly through the woods without any sense of direction. After a while, she stumbles on a log and afterward decides to call 911 for help. At the same time, Charlie gets his head bandaged and soon begins to call out to Emily. A dispatcher finally picks up and Emily narrates her ordeal, stating that she's been drugged and kidnapped by her ex, Charlie Belwick. She also reveals to the dispatcher that her glasses are now broken, stating that she can't see without them. The dispatcher asks her to enable location services on her phone, but Emily reveals to the dispatcher that she can't do that because Charlie might track her with it. With this, the dispatcher reveals that she will be working with Emily's network carrier to find her location. However, the dispatcher tells Emily that it might take up to an hour to work with her carrier. Emily tries to plead for a swift response and subsequently asks the dispatcher to call her on a video call to guide her to a safe spot. However, the dispatcher reveals to her that they do not have video capabilities and would not be able to use her personal device, stating that it is against their regulations. Shortly after, Emily hits her leg on a log and falls on the floor, causing her phone to fall and the call gets disconnected. Since Emily can't seem to see clearly enough, she decides to dial any random number, hoping it's 911, but she ends up calling Sam's phone, who at this time is trying to fix the freezy machine. Sam later picks up the phone, and Emily asks if she's 911. Afterward, they introduce themselves, and Sam soon realizes that she must have accidentally dialed Emily's number earlier. At the same time, Emily hears a rustling sound coming closer to her, and she asks Sam to be quiet. Emily soon realizes that the footstep she heard is that of an animal. Sam, who at this time doesn't understand what's going on, decides to end the call. However, Emily persistently begs her to stay and subsequently narrates her ordeal, asking Sam to be her eyes using a video call. The whole situation becomes overwhelming for Sam, and she finds it hard to believe, thinking it's a scam. Sam offers to call 911 for her, but Emily reveals to her that she already did that earlier. As Emily continues to frantically beg Sam, she begins to panic and subsequently agrees to call Emily back on a video call. After dropping the call, Sam takes a deep breath while Charlie continues to track Emily using her footprints. Moments later, Emily receives a video call from Sam, and soon begins to ask for directions to any clearing. First, Emily does a 360 view of her surroundings for Sam to check if Charlie is anywhere close. Afterward, Sam sees a clearing to Emily's left and slowly directs her there. At this time, Sam offers to call any of Emily's family or friends, stating that she's at work and that she needs to attend to customers. However, Emily tells Sam that she hasn't memorized any phone number since she was a kid. On hearing this, Emily convinces Sam to stay, restating the fact that her eyesight is so bad that she can't even see her own hands. As this conversation continues, Emily tells Sam about how she was bullied and called names as a child because of her bad eyesight. Sam in turn recalls being nicknamed Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers as a kid, and the two subsequently bond over the conversation. After a while, Sam realizes that the path she chose for Emily isn't a path at all, but just a fallen tree. Sam apologizes to Emily for making such a mistake, and Emily tells her it's not her fault. Afterward, Emily expresses discomfort, stating that the zip tie that Charlie had used on her is restricting blood circulation. Sam decides to search online on how to get out of zip ties and later plug in her phone, revealing that her battery is getting low. Sam finds a video of a man demonstrating how to get out of a zip tie in Russian. Afterward, Sam explains the process to Emily and she does it perfectly, screaming as the zip tie comes off. However, Charlie, who had been going in the wrong direction, hears her scream and begins to follow the direction of the noise. Meanwhile, in the gas station, a man carrying hunting tools walks in and Sam asks him what he would do if he ever gets lost in the woods. Although reluctant, the man reveals to her that he would look for a stream or river. With this information, Sam searches how to find water online and reveals to Emily that the flight direction of birds can lead her to water. However, Emily reveals to Sam that she heard a flock of birds fly over her a few minutes ago, and they both decide to use their direction to find water. Later, Emily reveals to Sam that she's a doctor, and Sam tells her that she's just a clerk in a gator-themed gas station. However, Emily reveals to Sam that she regrets not spending time with her mom, as she'd imagined after achieving her childhood goal of becoming a doctor. In turn, Sam reveals to Emily that she had returned to Florida to take care of her mom, who later passed on. Moments later, Emily gets to a small river while Sam, on the other hand, sees the freezy machine spilling out its content again. But as she tries to go fix it, her charger connector breaks and gets stuck in her phone. Sam makes an effort to remove the broken part with a knife, but at the same time, Emily loses her balance and falls, losing her phone. On hearing Emily's scream, Sam panics and mistakenly cuts herself with the knife. Sam eventually unplugs the freezy machine and directs Emily through her AirPod to look for her phone. Moments later, Emily reveals to Sam that she can hear the sounds of an approaching vehicle, stating that Charlie must be close by. Luckily for them, Emily's phone captures Charlie arriving at the place, and Sam directs Emily to a safe spot. Charlie gets down from the truck to look for Emily, wandering off into the woods. Subsequently, Sam guides Emily to find her phone once again. With Charlie gone, Emily reveals to Sam that she plans to steal the truck and drive away, and Sam guides her into the truck. Afterward, Emily asks Sam to let her know when Charlie returns, revealing her plans to run him over. Determined to stop him for good, Emily eventually hits Charlie with the truck and subsequently crashes it into a tree. Emily, with Sam's direction, grabs a sharp broken mirror in an attempt to finish Charlie off, but Sam manages to convince her not to do it. However, Emily decides to keep the mirror in her pocket. Shortly after, Sam gets a battery low notification. With this, she decides to write down Emily's phone number on a piece of paper, promising to call back if her phone finally goes off. Soon, the blonde lady returns to get her credit card and Sam rushes out to meet her. However, Sam continues to direct Emily, revealing to her that Charlie is now coming towards her with a gun. At the same time, the blonde lady continues to yell at Sam, demanding to collect her credit card. Sam's phone goes off mid-conversation with Emily, and Sam turns to the blonde lady asking her to borrow her phone for an emergency. But as expected, she refuses to give her phone to Sam. Now left with no other option, Sam steals the lady's phone and falls as she rushes to lock herself up behind the counter. The lady grabs her gun and threatens to kill Sam. However, Sam gets out of the counter and hands over the phone to the lady. Shortly after, the lady gets angry and shoots into the roof as she realizes that Sam had tricked her by switching her dead phone's pouch with hers. Back in the woods, Emily, realizing she's now alone, decides to rely on her instincts to keep going. However, she soon finds herself standing face to face with Charlie, who is now badly wounded. The two argue for a while, and Charlie accuses Emily of being a terrible daughter to her mom, and also a terrible partner to him, stating that she neglected him just like she neglected her mom, even refusing to pick up her calls. Charlie's words get to Emily and she soon begins to cry. However, Emily does not realize that Charlie has been leading her to the edge of the river. Subsequently, Charlie grabs her by the throat, and they both begin to fight. Eventually, Emily falls into the river and later gets washed up to the edge. As Emily lays back on the edge of the river, she decides to give up after sustaining injuries from the fall. However, Sam calls back. Emily thanks Sam for everything, revealing her plan to lie down till Charlie finds her. Sam tries to convince her not to give up, but it seems she's giving up all hopes. Subsequently, Emily begs Sam to help her call her mom on a landline and put her on speaker so she can speak to her. Emily tearfully apologizes to her mom for not listening to her warnings against her relationship with Charlie. Emily's mom becomes worried hearing this, and she begins to ask her what happened. However, during this call, Sam reveals to Emily that a light just came up behind her, suggesting that a house might be close by. Sam begs Emily to get up, and Emily's mom joins in to encourage her daughter to stay alive, even though she doesn't understand the gravity of the situation yet. With this, Emily finally finds the strength to get up, and Sam leads her to the barn. However, Sam spots Charlie's flashlight approaching, and Emily immediately locks herself inside the barn. Inside the barn, Sam helps Emily look for any farm tool that could serve as a weapon, but can't find any. Back in Florida, Sam realizes she's in a bigger mess after seeing the blonde lady and her husband approaching with a machine gun. Regardless of this, Sam continues to give Emily directions, as Charlie makes attempts to break down the door. Moments later, Sam's manager arrives, and Sam now faces an angry blonde woman, her armed husband, and her manager Isaac, all threatening Sam to give back the phone. Meanwhile, Sam and Emily devise a plan to stop Charlie, hoping that it will work. The plan includes distracting him to a spot first. However, Emily tells Sam that Charlie might hear the noise coming from her side. With this, Sam decides to mute the call and promises to send Emily a message once Charlie gets to the expected spot. Charlie finally breaks into the barn and walks up the stairs. As soon as he spots Emily hiding in a corner, he shoots at her. However, as he goes to inspect his kill, he realizes that he has been tricked, but at this point he's already standing in the spot. Sam sends the message, and Emily sprays a pesticide chemical on Charlie's face, attempting to push him down from the top of the barn. Charlie gains control and grabs Emily in a chokehold, watching her gradually lose consciousness. At this point, Sam yells at Emily, reminding her about the broken piece of glass in her pocket. Emily briefly regains consciousness, and she eventually uses the broken glass to stab Charlie in the neck, and then pushes him down the barn. At the same time, police arrive at the gas station to arrest Sam, asking her to surrender. After realizing that Emily is now safe, Sam happily surrenders herself to the police, smiling as they take her into custody. Sometime later, Sam and Emily, who are now close friends, reconnects over a video call. Emily is now united with her mom, and Sam reveals her plan to further her education to land a better job. At this point, Emily asks Sam who she was trying to call the fateful day she dialed her number, and Sam says she was just trying to order pizza. However, it was later revealed that Sam was trying to reach a Tallahassee suicide helpline, suggesting that she was already contemplating suicide at the time, and the movie ends here. If you'd like to see us recap any other movies or topics you have in mind, just drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this recap, and subscribe to stay updated for the next one. Until next time.